And really, the church went through the Dark Ages and was actually a part of the cause of the Dark Ages. For the church was guilty, the historic church was guilty of suppressing scientific knowledge and understanding because they were discovering things that were contrary to historic church doctrine when they began to gaze through telescopes and discovered things about our universe that were contrary to historic church doctrine. I think, Stephen was talking to the Sanhedrin, and he rehearsed for them their history. Now, these people were always boasting in their fathers. Well, our fathers this, our fathers that, and our fathers, our ancestors. And they were always boasting this stuff. And Stephen, man, he laid them low. He gave them their history, and then he said, which of the prophets did your fathers not stone? And he told them how horrible their fathers were. Your history's pretty black, men. It's pretty dark. Well, let me say that I feel the history of the church is very dark indeed. I have no defense for the history of the church. I'm ashamed of it. So anybody comes to me and starts talking about historic church doctrine, I'm embarrassed over what the church has done in its history. Surely it hasn't been a true representative of Jesus Christ in the world, or there would be more people converted today. The church has been a great stumbling block, and it has hindered progress and development, and it has suppressed men and peoples. I'm ashamed of church history. I don't try to defend it at all. I apologize for it. But I don't have to make the same mistakes, nor am I responsible for the mistakes that they made. Now, a lot of you kids in college, you have a problem because the professors start bringing up things which have happened in church history. They start telling about the wars and how the church has slaughtered so many people and the horrible atrocities that have been done in the name of Christ. And you're defenseless. And I found myself in university defenseless against these things. And I used to sort of hang my head. Until the Lord caused me to realize, hey, that's not me and that's not my understanding of Christianity. To me, that isn't a true representative of Christianity. And I began to speak up and say, wait a minute, that's not really Christian. Just because they said they were Christians, just because they went by the church, doesn't mean that they were truly Christians. You get a box of grape nuts. It's not grapes, it's not nuts. You don't know what it is. I don't have to answer for the mistakes of the church fathers. I'll have to answer for my own mistakes. And thus, I need to be seeking the guidance of the Spirit that I don't make mistakes, you see. For I'm going to answer for me. But that puts a greater responsibility upon me. Because it is important that I seek God and I seek to live after the biblical injunctions, that I seek to walk after the Spirit, that I seek to be led by the Spirit, that I seek to love as Christ loved and show a better example of what the Lord intended His children to be and to do. Now, even as people have judged the church by the mistakes of the past, so they are continuing to judge the church, but you can help rectify it by living as God would have you to live and be a good example so that they can point to you and say, well, yes, but there's a real Christian. And the opinion of Christianity is being created by what you are. Jesus said, let your light so shine before men that when they see your good works, they will glorify your Father, which is in heaven. God, help us that we will not be of those of which people say, well, if that's a Christian, I don't need any of that. But God, help us to live in such a way as the salt of the earth will create a thirst in people for Jesus Christ.
And now with today's closing comment, once again, here's Pastor Chuck.
God bless you, and God keep you, fill you with His Spirit and with His love, watch over you, that we might each of us grow into a greater apprehension of all that God is and desires to do for us. And may above all you walk in love. In Jesus' name.